Hi there, it's Reza, founder of Capture Accounting. I have my colleague here with me today, Brendan, who heads up our overseas division for content creators and influencers. And today we're going to be talking about all things to do with corporation tax and VAT in Dubai. So before 2023, it really was bliss. You could go to Dubai, you wouldn't pay any income tax, you wouldn't pay any corporation tax. There was literally zero tax, which is why everybody went there. And they managed to save shed loads of money because there was simply no tax anywhere. However, that all changed from the 1st of June 2023 when they introduced corporation tax. Brendan, tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so it's been in their kind of pipeline now for the last couple of years, but the basics around it at the moment are they have introduced corporation tax from the 1st of June. The registrations aren't open yet, but they will be, and essentially it will be 9% of your profits.
Fantastic. Okay, but it doesn't actually kick in from the 1st of June. So when does it actually kick in from, in terms of if I'm operating out there, I've set up a business there, I'm going to set up a business out there, we're in middle of 2023 at the moment, when will that 9% kick in for me?
So for yourself in that scenario, it's the first start of your accounting period after the 1st of June. Okay, so put that into context. Most trade licenses that you'll have out there, mainland, they all fall under an umbrella where most of them are under calendar years. What that would mean is your first taxable year would be the 1st of January 2024 to the 31st of December 2024.
Fantastic. And do we know at the moment when that would be payable? Is it similar to the UK, 9 months after the year end?
It is very similar because it is exactly the same. There is a lot of British people that work out there in the industry. So from our side, it's the exact same. It's 9 months.
Yeah, and that is kind of helpful because we've seen with the development of VAT that came in a few years ago as well, they've actually implemented their taxation system based upon a lot of what's already in the UK. And they've taken lots of people as expats on nice contracts overseas to develop that for them. So it does help that it does look a bit familiar to our system. So back to corporation taxes, and 9% from 1st of January 2024. Do all businesses have to pay it, or are there any exemptions?
There are exemptions, so it's not all doom and gloom, okay? Especially up to 2026 out there at the moment. So they've got a couple of exemptions. The first one, which is a tax threshold, which means anything you earn above it, you'll be taxed at 9%. It's 375,000 dirhams. So that means anything above that in profits, you will be taxed, okay? The other one that's quite lucrative at the moment till 2026, and I can't stress that, is the small business rates relief. Which means if you earn under 3 million dirhams in turnover, in revenue, worldwide revenue as well, for content creators, influencers, it's everything, then you will essentially be taxed. You won't be taxed. It'll be an exemption from corporation tax at 0%.
Fantastic. That's quite generous then. So 3 million AED is around about £650,000, is that right?
Yes, it is, yeah. Yeah, so approximately around the kind of £650,000 mark.
Okay, so if my turnover is not more than £650,000, but my profit is higher than the 375 AED, do I still get the exemption?
Yes. So the way it works, okay, the first exemption that you go for is the small business rates relief. If you don't meet that, okay, and if you go over that, then what it means, you then go on to the next exemption, which is the tax threshold. So if I go over, I have 4 million dirhams, okay, I will then go on to the next one where I will be taxed on the difference between 4 million and the 375,000 dirhams, okay, but that's if I had no expenses.
Okay, fantastic. So technically, if I ran a very lean business and I earned no more, my revenue was less than the 3 million AED, so £650,000, and my profit, let's say my expenses were limited and only say £50,000, so I earned £600,000 profit, I still won't pay any tax.
It would be 0%. Although you would be, they class it 0%. Okay, you would still be required to do reporting obligations at the back end of this. You can't just automatically get the exemption. You still have to comply with regulations over there.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's no different to the UK in terms of the UK has a tax system, but there are certain reliefs that are baked in, which is why you use a competent tax advisor like Capture Accounting to inform you of those reliefs. And similar to if you were setting up in Dubai, that's exactly what we do. We help clients with setting up in Dubai, not only the setup, but also the ongoing management of the business, taking care of the returns, making sure that you're claiming the exemptions that you're entitled to, so you don't fall foul of the authorities. Because if you're scared of the tax man here in the UK, trust me, you don't want to get on the wrong side of the tax man in the UAE because they are known to be a bit more draconian. Not, they can put you in prison, forget putting you in prison, they'll just chuck you out of the country. So you don't want to fall foul of any law, of any authority in the UAE, because they can simply just say your visa's cancelled, see you later. But anyway, back to tax. So we talked about corp tax. That's good news on that front until 2026 at least. Let's talk about VAT now then. What's the deal with VAT, Brendan, for your business?
Okay, so a lot of people forget about VAT in a lot of ways, and it depends on how you're operating. Of course, it's similar to the UK, okay? It's similar in the fact that we have really, we're looking at domestic VAT for Dubai. So if you're operating locally with individuals or businesses through consumers and that side of things over in Dubai or the UAE. If you're operating outside, then in a lot of cases it'll be out of scope for VAT, and then you will essentially be exempt from declaring it.
Excellent. So if I am a content creator and I have my digital products, I've got an app and people are buying my training plans, I don't have to charge VAT on top of that to anyone who's not based in the mainland, in Dubai, in the UAE essentially.
So it's a kind of misconception that just because you don't fall foul of the Dubai VAT doesn't mean you're not going to fall foul of another state's VAT. Okay, this comes up a lot, especially with fitness apps, with any kind of applications that I've got at the moment, where you look at distance selling. Okay, and when you're looking at distance selling in most places across Europe, for example, they don't have threshold, which means if you're operating and you've got a fitness app which is purely them downloading plans or nutritional advice or anything through that kind of aspect of digital services, then you will fall foul of their rules and you should register, you should pay VAT. And we can help with all of that.
Absolutely. It's probably the one thing that we see a lot, given that we are specialists working with content creators. We understand these things because we've gone narrow and deep into this particular area, but it's one of the things we often see when we take on clients from other accountants who don't really understand or get this particular area because they're generalists. It's the one thing which most accountants will miss. So if you are doing this kind of thing, it is worth talking to an expert, because the consequence of getting it wrong and not, registering for your VAT obligations in countries that you distance sell to. For example, if you have customers that are buying your plans or digital products in any European state or anywhere else for that matter, you do have VAT obligations. And if you don't, then you could be hit with penalties, etc., which is never a good place to be in. So in that, anything more to add in that particular area to make sure that people don't get it wrong when they kind of talk to us, a specialist?
I would say it's essential really to get involved with. I have a lot of clients that operate through systems like Stripe. Stripe has a specific part of their software called Stripe Tax. I'd recommend having a look at it. Stripe Tax is great because it shows you when you fall foul of those regulations. So if there's one key tip I would say to take away from this, and you're using platforms like Stripe, let's be honest, Stripe is huge for apps, then I would recommend go into the back of the software, have a look at Stripe Tax, and it will tell you, it will show you in the places that you are falling foul. But more importantly, you'll need to seek advice for someone to be able to help you register, help you comply with those regulations around the world.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Is there anything else, Brendan, on this topic of corporation tax or VAT that's worth sharing with our audience today?
I would say certainly to take away from this is, and it's not doom and gloom and it's not negative around this, but there is new reporting rules and there is specific reporting rules that are there in place. So it's just to make sure you don't fall foul of these, and to contact local advisors or ourselves or anyone that can help you be able to meet those obligations, because as you said before, there's quite large penalties that can be out the back end of this.
Absolutely. But that's right, it's not all doom and gloom, because there are huge opportunities as well. So before we finish, let's talk through an example in terms of what is that, what would you recommend to someone listening to this, they're thinking of moving to Dubai, what is that threshold before it becomes not economically viable to do so, where the kind of, the additional costs that might be involved in managing a company out there are not exceed the kind of the savings possible. So what would you say is that threshold, and talk us through some numbers so that we can get an idea of when it actually becomes economically viable to do so.
Okay, so when I sit down and do a tax kind of tax planning meeting with a client, the first things I'll look at is a cost versus benefit scenario. And in this case, it's exactly what you need to do. And I always look to say, if you're earning around 50,000 in the UK, of course, it's not going to be a benefit, unfortunately. But when I look at markers of around the £200,000 mark, even if you were to do it in a tax efficient way for a limited company in the UK, low salary, high dividends, and it would still cost you around 44% of your turnover. So you're still looking at around 88,000 of that 200,000 being paid in tax through personal tax, corporation tax. Unfortunately, it's the way the UK works, which means you would have to pay that. And then we look at, well, what's the benefit? Okay, Dubai is costly in some areas, so you have to add it up a little bit. So we'd first look at trade licenses, visas, all of that side of things. What's it going to cost me? Between £5,000 and £6,000. Okay, so that's already set you back. You would also need accountants in the UK to help with your non-residency, because it's not as straightforward as just leaving the UK. Unfortunately, there's a lot that goes into it. You would then need accountants on the ground or that can deal with the local side of things with Dubai, the regulations that come. So if you ballpark that, you're definitely looking between £15,000 to £20,000 as a total cost. Okay, so if we weigh that up against our 88,000, of course there is huge benefits to be had. You might say to me the cost of living is more in Dubai. It won't matter in this case. You know, you would still have a nice pot of money of 68,000. You would still have a nice benefit at the end of it.
Absolutely. And that's just the yearly saving, right? So every year you're saving, and the more your income goes up, the bigger your savings are going to get, which hopefully if you listen to this, you're ambitious, you're hungry, you're going to grow. What your income is now is not what it's going to be next year. It's hopefully going to be higher and higher still in years to come. So if you got benefit from this video, thank you again, Brendan. And if you want to get in touch with us, because we handle both the UK side and also the Dubai side as well, if you want to have consultation, click on the links below and book in a call with us. Otherwise, check out the other videos we have around this to learn a bit more about Dubai and what else you can claim in terms of tax if you are a content creator or influencer. Thanks again for watching, and see you on the next video. Bye for now.